Unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter. Everyone can feel that. That's like the most atavistic instinct there is. And so to avoid that, people will do anything.
It makes no sense in the context of the United States and how we have carried out wars or military interventions. This next part, I want to be as contextual as possible. So first, let me show the clip that many of you have seen from Tucker Carlson discussing unconditional surrender regarding Iran, the United States, from this weekend.
If there's one consistent lesson of history, it means unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter. Everyone can feel that. That's like the most atavistic instinct there is. And so to avoid that, people will do anything. And so that's why it requires that level of force to get a population subdued to the point of unconditional surrender. That's why. And so in this case, of course, we don't have the ground force necessary. I don't think Americans would voluntarily participate in it. I just don't think we can do that. It would require weapons of mass destruction. It would require presumably nuclear weapons in order to do that. And let's not lie to ourselves. We're moving toward that.
Now, before I get to my opinions here, first off, that was not taken out of context. Full link in the description. You can go and check out, watch the whole show, because I saw a lot of people, and there were false fact checks online saying, that's AI. I saw people respond saying, I'm a fan of Tucker. That's AI. Well, hold on. Now that you know it isn't, do you stand by? Because that meant that this was so obviously, so egregious that you were willing to dismiss it as AI. It's not. He's referring to the American military. He'll say he's not. He is. There's no other context. Also, he's doing this bait and switch where he says you'd have to subdue the population. No one is looking to subdue the population. The overwhelming majority of Iranians want the United States there. That doesn't mean that it is our job to go and liberate them. But they do not feel whatsoever that American troops are going there to rape their women and children. They are the ones arguing against Tucker. So when he says subdue these, what we're talking about is subduing a very, very small percentage, a very small number of people who are part of the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran, who, by the way, in no way represent their people. Let me be clear, being critical of the U.S. involvement in Iran, I get it, completely reasonable. Being suspicious of it becoming a quagmire, yep. Right. You don't want to see Americans get killed? I don't want to see Americans get killed. I certainly don't want Americans dying on behalf of any other nation, which is namely why I have a problem with Iran, who've killed many American troops. But, and we're going to get some other examples with Tucker Carlson here, and I've invited him on the show, and I'll invite him again. Same thing, Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, all of them. Nick Fuentes is the one who showed up, and I disagree with him on a whole lot. Tucker, I think it'd be a reasonable time to do so. There are people out there who, whether accidentally or by design, almost always line up against the United States and against certainly our troops, somehow end up smearing the United States at large on the global stage. I don't know where in that pattern you say, okay, maybe it's no longer happenstance. And to be clear, the claim can no longer be made that that Tucker Carlson is more MAGA than people who are critical of him. I mean, Tucker was the one who called the attack on Iran absolutely disgusting and evil. That's not, I disagree with it. That's this action that was decided upon by the president is evil. That's President Trump is the bad guy. Just like they're going, everyone knows the unconditional surrender is the raping of your women and your girls. Everyone knows that. That's news to me. Certainly as it relates to American troops.
Right.
So Trump responded. He was very clear. He said, Tucker has lost his way. I knew that a long time ago, and he's not MAGA. MAGA is saving our country. MAGA is making our country great again. MAGA is, frankly, America first, and Tucker is none of those things. God. And Tucker is really not smart enough to understand that. Now, what Tucker was referring to in context was, again, a statement from President Trump, where he was talking about the terms that would be acceptable to ending the attack against the Islamo-fascist regime. He wrote, "There will be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender. After that, the selection of a great and acceptable leaders We and many of our wonderful and very brave allies and partners will work tirelessly to bring Iran back from the brink of destruction, making it economically bigger, better, stronger than ever before. So whether you agree with him or not, this is clearly directly addressing, especially if you watch his show, President Trump saying unconditional surrender. Islamic Republic of Iran, American military. Tucker says, well, that means that they're going to rape your women and children. All right. So let's actually take that clip a little bit longer in context. We led with it. Here it is again for those of you who missed it. And tell me where you line up. Hey, if you think we're missing something, then I have a couple more.
If there's one consistent lesson of history, it means unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter. Everyone can feel that. That's like the most atavistic instinct there is. And so to avoid that, people will do anything.
Not to me or to the Iranian people.
So that's why it requires that level of force to get a population subdued to the point of unconditional surrender. That's why. And so in this case, of course, we don't have the ground force necessary. I don't think Americans would voluntarily participate in it. I just don't think we can do that. It would require weapons of mass destruction. It would require presumably nuclear weapons in order to do that. And let's not lie to ourselves. We're moving toward that.
Unconditional surrender means that they will rape your women and children, meaning American troops. To which American soldiers said, we would have taken unconditional surrender from Venezuela before this. That's carte blanche. If I didn't know that was the agreement. Here's the truth. It makes no sense It makes no sense in the context of the United States and how we have carried out wars or military interventions. Whenever someone does this, they say, well, everyone knows that. It's usually a trick and it's usually bullcrap. There are very few things that everyone knows. And if it's something that you've never really heard and is not widely believed, if it's something that's unique to the person saying it, then the American troops, they're going to rape all of your women. Everyone knows that. It's a trick. Don't tell me, show me. So here's the thing, too. It's remarkably inconsistent. And his guest, I believe, on that show, I don't remember if it was that or the previous show, was someone who's parroted communist Chinese talking points. I always ask that there's some kind of consistency. And when there isn't consistency, okay, that sounds some alarm bells. But when I see consistency on the other side of someone who is consistently inconsistent in their application, meaning outrage only for one side, where I'm twisting words, and then on the flip side, I expect people to read between the lines when I say something outrageous. Right away I go, well, that doesn't seem like this person is acting in good faith. Yeah. Remember, Tucker Carlson, now implying that American troops will rape your women, took great offense to Mike Huckabee saying that the IDF tries to avoid killing civilians.
Do you know what Israel does? They send page messages and they send texts to every cell phone in Gaza, and they say, we're going to hit this particular target. They drop leaflets and they announce where they're going to hit. Nobody does that. The U.S. doesn't do that. Israel does that in order to prevent, let me finish this. They do this in order to prevent civilian casualties.
As an American, permit me a moment of outrage, because I said many civilians have been killed. Yeah. And you said, right in the middle of your elaborate defense of the IDF's killing of civilians, including children, you said they do a better job than the United States does. That's my country and my government.
It's my country. What flag am I wearing here?
Well, I'm asking, why is it
What flag am I wearing?
Well, that's, of course, my flag as well.
And it's my flag. It's who I serve.
So why the dig at the United States in the middle?
It's not a dig at them. No. You've totally misrepresented that.
What did you mean by that?
I did not take a dig at the U.S. What I'm saying is...
So the IDF is more humane than the U.S.?
Yeah, so what Mike Huckabee said, whether you agree with him or not on the IDF, that's a dig against the United States, but not the implication that American soldiers are rapists.
If there's one consistent lesson of history, it means unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter. Everyone can feel that. That's like the most atavistic instinct there is.
Now, we can do the wordplay thing and say, well, he didn't say American troops. He was just talking about the context of Iran and Donald Trump saying unconditional surrender and talked about subduing the people of Iran. Well, there is no world in which he is discussing anyone other than members of the United States military. Do you guys see it? It's using, just like the left, it's using outrage as a political tool when you don't really mean it. What do I mean here? I don't think he was outraged at Mike Huckabee saying that. I really don't. I think he was playing a game.
Yeah.
And I think that he was implying that the American military is doing something wrong here, because he also said that the action, which involves the military, it's the only action, is evil and disgusting. Here's the other thing. If you don't apply it equally, like if you're really concerned about this phantom rape from American troops, well, why is it never discussed that there is an actual rape culture in the Islamic Republic? There's no protection from rape. There's no such thing as spousal rape, including, by the way, not like here in the United States, but forced marriages. So you can be forced to marry, and there's still no protection against violent rape. Rape in Iran, under the current regime, requires 4 male witnesses. Meaning if there's 3, it's a false accusation, and you get 80 lashes. Okay, let's narrow it down. 2 witnesses to a rape. You're a woman. You come forward. 2 guys say, we saw this person raped. Very unlikely, because they kind of want to keep the status quo. You still are the one who gets punished. Let's go back to the 2022 protests. The Iran security forces, they used rape as a form of punishment for detainees that documented at least 26 men, 12 women, and many children as young as 12. It's a culture of rape. It's a policy of rape. It's something the American feminists are very silent on, which we've discussed quite a bit. But if you're going to bring up phantom rape, hey, why isn't there a consistent application of the government that condones, that abets rape and punishes women for simply coming forward for rape? Now, I know what you're thinking. To be clear, that last one's not as bad as you think. The men there, the 26 men, were raped by women. So, or a woman. Help, rape!
Was that you in BDSM?
No. I'm sure did you guys hear my stomach growling?
No.
Did you just, really?
Yeah, I just realized I didn't eat enough this morning.
That made you realize?
No, it was before. Stop it.
Weird.
It was before that.
Weird, bro.
All right.
All right, it might have been that too. Now, here's something else. If we apply it, right? I defended Tucker, and I still do. He absolutely had every right to interview Putin. I would interview Putin if I was given the opportunity. I would interview Hitler if I was given the opportunity.
Yeah.
I'd kill the shit out of baby Hitler. Don't get me wrong. It wouldn't even be a question. But if Hitler was already in power, if Hitler was in a position of influence, of course I would interview him. And I would try and illuminate people as to why his influence was a bad thing. That's my job, is not to say no because I don't want to platform somebody. Well, someone's already platformed. So I have no problem with him interviewing Putin. Okay, in 3, 2...
Whoa. What are you doing?
Lobotomies.
Giving each other lobotomies.
Why? No, why are you giving it a lobotomy? What are you doing?
Because we have to get amped for the show, get focused, get energy.
That's not what a lobotomy does. Here, just try some strange animal brew from Blackout Coffee, okay? That'll take care of you.
What is it?
It's strange animal brew from Blackout.
Well, I know what that is. I'm the one who hand-selected the beans. I put that together. That's all we drink in the office.
Exactly. Try that.
It's pretty good.
What is it?
Coffee.
Did you already have your lobotomy, Stephen?
What's up?
What is it? Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Crowder. Use the promo code Crowder for 20% off your first order and try the new exclusive Strange Animal Brew. Yes, I chose the beans. It is the blend that we drink here exclusively, and now I'm making it available to you. What is it?
Coffee.
Then when he did the propaganda piece of the Russian subway and he went to the Russian grocery stores, again, he just said, look how cheap this stuff is, but he didn't tell you that it may be cheap to you in American, but it costs an entire month's salary from someone in Russia. It could be an accident that he was doing the kind of propaganda that you see on state-run television in Russia. It could be an accident that he's also not just saying this intervention is wrong, but sort of out there parroting the lines that the Islamic Republic would want him to be parroting, you know, that American troops are invaders and rapists, which is, by the way, in diametric opposition to the Iranian people. It could be just happenstance, and it could be happenstance that he gave a monologue just one episode prior to this, I believe, that if you put side by side is eerily similar to exactly what you hear on Chinese state-run media regarding China.
The United States has reigned in a unipolar world. That's what they call it. There's just one pole. There's one center of gravity. There's one power center, and that's been the United States. But that has changed over the past several years, maybe decades, certainly since China was admitted into the WTO in 2001. Now it is a multipolar world. You've heard that phrase, no doubt.
多元共生才是人类社会本来的面貌，多极共存才是国际格局应有的样子。
And China is now a peer with the United States, at least, almost no matter how you measure it. Population, of course, much bigger. Military power, well, we're not quite sure, but certainly from a technological and industrial output standpoint, at least a peer. And then on a pure economic level, well, China has a bigger economy, a bigger real economy than the United States. So yes, China
Real
is
economy.
a
Well, that's
peer.
not true.
Who gets to set the terms for commerce and diplomacy and everything else that happens on the globe? Well, if you were to reach a diplomatic solution, there would be, in effect, a power sharing agreement between these two countries. You take the East, I take the West. Here are the terms. But unfortunately, no such agreement, formal or informal, has been reached.
中国绝不走国强必霸的老路，也不认同大国共治的逻辑。
This other country that's as least as powerful as we are, called China, different system, language, culture, etc.
What's the system?
But at least every bit as powerful. And so you can't make unilateral decisions anymore. It's sort of that moment that many parents face when used to barking orders at their kids, they realize the kid is taller than them. And like, it's a new relationship in some ways. You're always the parent, but you can't just bark orders anymore. That's pretty much where we are with China.
我们坚持走和平发展的道路。国际格局应该如何发展？中国的方案就是建设平等有序的世界多极化。
Even as we speak, there's probably some symposium underway in Washington about what will we do if China invades Taiwan. Well, of course, from China's perspective, Taiwan is part of China. It's just sort of run off for the past 75 years, but it's still part of China. That's their view. And the United States, of course, isn't in a position to stop the reclamation of Taiwan. Let's stop lying. And yet only in D.C. is that not obvious.
台湾自古以来就是中国。
Taiwan has been an integral part of China since ancient times. It never was, is not, and never will be a country.
台湾回归中国。
Its return to China is a victorious outcome of the Chinese people's war of resistance against Japanese aggression and the Second World War.
Now, let's just assume that all of that is happenstance, okay? And let's just assume that it's happenstance that they actually were running Tucker Carlson on Russia Today, that Iranian television was running Tucker Carlson. Let's just assume that, because I get it, Hitler liked sandwiches and I too like a sandwich. In other words, it doesn't mean that you are agreeing with them. But consistently, let's look at the coincidentally wrong talking points. You'd have to get all of these wrong and just happen to line up with China. They have a bigger real economy. Well, that's not true. Taiwan has always been a part of it, and that's not in dispute. Well, okay, that's not true. And by the way, that wasn't mainstream conservative, right-wing MAGA ever at any point. You guys remember during COVID, right? CDC, when we're talking about the WHO, they refused to even acknowledge Taiwan as any type of an independent state. Remember that famous Skype call where they hung up? Iran, okay. The fact that, you need to subdue the people. The people are saying, no one's looking to subdue us. People are liberating us, whether you agree with the policy or not. How do you get the right, wrong talking points all the time? It's a valid question for people to ask when they see a pattern at this point in time. And let's say that you just believe it's coincidence, and I am not trying to say that someone cannot hold any of those opinions. Okay. Well, the fight is over the conservative right. The fight is over America first. The fight is over MAGA. It's very clear. Tucker Carlson is saying that China is at least equal to or more powerful than the United States. And so obviously they can be the ones dictating the terms. That's his view. China is equal to the United States in power or more powerful. President Trump's view is that we need to reduce the power of China. And that's all of these moves, and that's important. That's why President Trump and Tucker are at odds. You look at Venezuela. You look at Iran. By the way, Cuba, we got you on our peripheral vision here. They're next. It's all about reducing power to China. And it goes deeper, but in case you guys don't know, than just energy. It goes to minerals. It goes to nitrogen. It goes to so many supplies that are incredibly important going through the Strait of Hormuz that China is reliant on. And if China has an ally in Iran, well, they control a lot, and they, God forbid, could become as powerful as Tucker Carlson wants you to believe that they are. I have told you for a very long time that China is a threat, but China could be a paper tiger if we simply take the right steps in policy. And by the way, no president has done anything of more significance than President Trump in dealing with China. So you do kind of have to decide. America first, MAGA, do we believe that China is our primary adversary? Is our primary threat? Get rid of Israel. Get rid of even Islamic encroachment. Do we believe that China is a good faith actor? And if we believe that we have levers within our power, should President Trump pull them in order to prevent China from becoming a larger global problem militarily, economically? Is that in America's interest? Is America first, hey, communist China bad, and we want to reduce their power? That's President Trump, and that is my view, provided, right, we're not wasting money on forever wars, of course. Or is the view, it's just a people who have a different system. We say free enterprise, you say communism, and by the way, they're just as powerful, so there's nothing we can do about it. We should let them determine the lay of the land. That's the future of the conservative right. I think it's important to know.
Don't trust China. China is asshole.
Now, see, that guy gets it.
Yeah, it is important to note.
Yeah, and we all got it only a few years ago. And I think most of you still do. And then I would add exhibit, I guess, what, Z at this point. His most recent guest, Tucker Carlson's recent guest, is Sagar Enjeti of Breaking Points. Also strikingly similar to the CCP propaganda talking points on a regular basis.
At the same time, we talked about China earlier. We weren't able to cover this bridge, but there's this new video going out and going massively viral for the right reasons. It's not AI. China has now officially opened the world's tallest bridge. They did it in less than 4 years. The Grand Canyon Bridge is 2,050 feet above the river and spans 4,600 feet across, quote, insane. And you can see here, that is...
the waterfall features.
It must be nice to live in a real country. You know, last time that we were doing stuff like this was when? Hoover Dam?
Do you know why China can build so many cool, futuristic infrastructures? Like this world's highest bridge, which just opened on September the 28th, located in China's Guizhou province. Because China doesn't allow billionaires to do whatever they want to achieve maximum profits for themselves.
Oh, really?
Chinese government designs its policies to ensure benefits can be brought to the maximum number of ordinary people.
Really?
Do you believe that? Do you believe that? Do you believe that the Communist Chinese Party is acting in the best interests of all of their people? Do you believe that China's gotten it right? Do you believe they just have a different system than the United States? I don't. And Tucker, I mean, I know we've, full disclosure of it, when he used to be on Fox News, I would appear on, he was host Fox and Friends in the Morning, appear quite often. I've spent time with him, was always friendly. I just disagree on a fundamental level right now at this point. And I know that you will sit down and discuss with every Tom, Dick, and Harry or Clint Howard lookalike who claims that there are more Christians in Palestine and they're less oppressed, or someone who parrots communist Chinese propaganda talking points. I'll talk about it with you. And I agree with you on probably more than most people do. I don't think that the United States should be acting on behalf of any foreign nations ever. I don't think we should be writing a blank check to the Ukraine. Was against it quite publicly, to be clear. But my starting off point, definitely as America first, is a communist alliance of people who want to see the destruction of the West and the United States aren't the good guys. I still do view America, and certainly America under President Trump, as good, and global communist bad actors as bad. Now we can determine which policies going forward, where it's appropriate for intervention, if at all. But this is something that we all knew to be true, because it's not just, to be clear, about the military, about the economy. Remember, You were the victim of Chinese propaganda globally. Everyone was. And you saw their thumbs on the scales. Remember, for a long time, according to these international governing bodies who you were upset with, we're not even talking about the CDC here, but the WHO, COVID came from a wet market and a bad. And anyone who spoke out against that, or anyone who even recognized critics of China like Taiwan as an entity, well, you didn't exist. This is the danger of Chinese propaganda because it upended the global economy by design. Some would argue a biological weapon with COVID. Don't forget this.
The WHO considered Taiwan's membership. Hello?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I couldn't hear your question.
Okay, yeah. Let me repeat the question.
No, that's okay. Let's move to another one then.
Right, because I'm actually curious on talking about Taiwan as well, on Taiwan's case.
Goodbye.
Now, hey, let's say you agree with Tucker and Taiwan's not a thing, and communist China has a right to take it and subjugate those people, even though we're generally against, use of force.
And we're incapable of stopping it.
Right. But let's assume that. Is it ever a good thing to have an official governing body silence all debate or dissent or voices of opposition? How about globally? Is that just another place, another country that is as big and powerful as the United States, who, by the way, may have a different system? Or is that something that is trying to usurp everything the American people want here in Western civilization? We do need to have that discussion. I think it's important. And hey, you know what? Maybe we agree, but come one, come all. Anyone on any of these topics, and certainly Tucker as it relates to the United States, Iran, the threat of China, and communism globally. Oh, you're still here? And you're still watching this on YouTube? You've probably noticed something is missing by now. I'm not here. That's because the live daily show is now streaming exclusively on Rumble weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Tune in there, where nothing is censored.